key was our operations were in Dubai, and Dubai has suffered very badly in the last few months. And in fact, just 2 weeks ago, I had to go to Dubai and let go some people and move the rest of them to Abu Dhabi, where there still is a lot of growth going on in Abu Dhabi.
So is basically this economic crunch, it's not a question of like closing or stopping or putting plants on hold, but just re-strategizing, if you like?
Yep.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm talking to David Hashim, founding principal of Veritas Design Group. All right. Because we're a business station, David, we've got to ask you some numbers, Are you able to give us some sort of, what kind of numbers, what sort of revenues does Veritas book annually? The gazillions.
Sure. No. Well, the way that consultants use numbers is, of course, we could use figures of the total size of the projects that we do, which of course that runs into the billions. Last year we did a turnover of billions of construction projects. But the fact is that consultants just get professional fees, and those fees are a function of the size of the project. I think last year we did something almost close to 25 million as a design group. That, of course, is not a large amount of money compared to multinationals and even big local companies. But for professional firms, that's a very healthy and respectable figure. We hope to do better than that this year. It's going to be a struggle. We will probably get close to it, and if we can beat it, it will only be because of our international work. The Malaysian market is steady, but it's not growing right for us right now.
What do you see as the growth area? Because you do lots of different things. It's not just I'll design something for you and you plonk it where you like, but there's that whole thing that going around it, the architectural, the planning, the landscaping, the ID aspect of it. Is there sort of any particular areas where you say, oh, well, this is a growth area and this is not, or is it a total package in your mind?
No, you're right. I mean, the construction industry is quite sophisticated in Malaysia. So when there are downturns or upturns, it's not across the board. Various sectors within the property market will be affected, and others will be less so. So, of course, we look at this and we try to strategize and place ourselves to take advantage of those that are moving upwards. I think there's a lot of interest in projects which offer a certain amount of environmental sensitivity, low carbon design, and those are projects that we are very much into these days. We're retraining our staff. We're sending them for courses locally, overseas. We're getting them certified for what they call LEED certification, which is an environmental standard. And this will put us ahead in terms of this game. When developers come to us and say, we need a building which is going to attract the kind of people who are concerned about the environment. So that's one area that we're going into.
You think green more than going back to the Usonian kind of building, economic crisis, build just enough, no attics, no basement, just your basic building that everybody can afford.
Well, the paradox is people think that green buildings cost more to build, and how can you do that in this economic times? Well, the paradox is that if more and more people thought in the positive way, where let's go environmentally friendly, let's go low carbon or carbon neutral buildings, the actual cost of them will go down below the cost of conventional buildings. So we need to get more people on the bandwagon and more people looking at the technologies, more people implementing the technologies. If more people buy, for example, heat pumps for their buildings to regenerate the heat from the air conditioning, for example. If more people introduce them and buy them, their cost will go down. So we need to get more people onto this and buy into this idea and to lower the energy. And this is one area that we are very much going into because we see a growing market for that. And we try to integrate that with our landscaping team. We've got Veritas Landscape, great award-winning guys. And landscape is part of the game for this new approach to design, which is low energy.
So when you talk about there being work mainly coming from the international arena rather than domestic, and listening to what you're just saying about going green, and it's not just, having more windows so you can use more natural light, but really going green in terms of what you use, what you put in, people are out there saying, but isn't there a big market for that here in Malaysia? We have a lot of unhealthy buildings. If you lose the air conditioning or electricity fails for whatever reason, everybody has to go home within the half an hour because you're just gagging and dying and gasping for breath. This is the area we can go back to using more recyclable products if you like here. But so why international rather than domestic?
Well, we're not losing focus on the local scene. I've always believed that you can't go international until you have a strong base. If your base is shaky, you better bring all your resources back to your base. But our base is pretty strong right now, and so when I say our international division is taking a lot of my attention, it's because it's got greater potential for growth.
Right.
Especially the next 1 or 2 years. But for the local scene, what you refer to is retrofitting old buildings to make them energy efficient.
Well, even new ones. People say there are lots of new buildings coming up, but especially now, people are cutting costs without thinking that they can control costs by taking a different approach.
Yeah. Well, they need to be educated. I mean, look at the typical buildings that are being built now. Single thick brick walls with metal roofs. That may look like it's very cheap to build, but look at the cost of running that building and the energy required for air conditioning and fans and all that. Within two years, I haven't done the numbers recently, but within 2 years, you could probably have recouped the cost of building a proper building with proper insulation and a proper roofing and a proper sun shading, surrounded by landscaping, and maybe even raised above the ground. And all of these ideas will actually cut down your energy costs. With very little thinking, you can actually, and with very little extra cost, you can actually build buildings which are going to be environmentally much more sustainable.
Sure, I know there's a couple of machis and pachis out there listening and going, raise above the ground. That's what we've been doing with our houses all this while.
BFM 89.9, the business station.